Excellencies, distinguished participants of this very important meeting, let me first congratulate the government, the President government of Indonesia for exercising such a great hospitality for all of us who are here. I would also like to express my admiration for the quality of the preparation of this B20 meeting. It reminds me, actually, in 2010, I proposed to the chair of the G20 at that time, the Korean chairmanship, to integrate a strong business dimension into the deliberations of the G20, because I deeply believe into the multi-stakeholder concept, which means we all have to work together, corporations, of course governments, civil society, to address the big issues in our world. Let me just make 4 remarks related to generating growth through innovation. First, of course, if we look at all the challenges, we can speak about the multi-crisis, an economic, a political, a social, an ecological, an institutional crisis. But actually, what we have to confront is a deep, systemic, and structural restructuring of our world. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process. Politically, the driving forces for this political transformation, of course, is the transition into a multipolar world, which has a tendency to make our world much more fragmented. And for these reasons, events like this one, the G20, and so on, are the very important connectors to avoid a too great segmentation, I would say, blocization instead of globalization of our world. If you look at the economic transformation forces, I just would like to mention 4. The energy transition which we need, and where Indonesia is playing a very important role. Second, the reshaping of our supply chains, where Indonesia can play a very important role. Then I would also say the integration of external costs. Just look at plastics. 10 billion tons a year of plastics are moving into our oceans. And for this reason, I'm so pleased that on the occasion of this G20, B20 meeting, we can announce and inaugurate an O20 to take better care of our oceans. But in addition to the reshaping of our supply chains, of the energy transformation, of internalization of external costs, we also see the consequences of militarization of our economies. Now, this all means, at least at the beginning, a cost burden. Now, if you restructure a company, you write off the costs, and of course, the shareholders are suffering. If you restructure an economy, The result is a reduction of income, of disposable income, which can lead to extensive social tensions, which we see in our world developing now. How do we deal with this transition, which may last for several years? Not just applying crisis management, not just reacting, but constructing the future with a purpose. We should use this transition time with a clear concept of what we want to achieve, how we want to come out of this transition time. We want to come out as a more sustainable, more resilient, and more inclusive world. Now my second point relates to the fourth industrial revolution, the minister mentioned. When I wrote the book about the fourth industrial revolution and conceptualized the idea of this revolution, I described 23 technologies. And at that time, only 5 years ago, many of those technologies were considered science fiction. Today, they all have become realities, and new technologies we have to deal with. Quantum technology, the metaverse, and I'm very proud that Indonesia is again one of the countries which wants to ride at the forefront of those developments of the fourth industrial revolution. What makes the fourth industrial revolution different? 3 things. First, it's the scope. Contrary to earlier technological innovation, it doesn't deal with 1 or 2 innovations. It's a whole panoply of technologies which interact and which completely will change how we produce, how we consume, how we communicate. But the second element is the speed. And if you look at technological revolutions, it usually goes in the form of an S-curve. And just now we are at the inflection point to exponential development. And technology will change completely what we are doing at this present time. And not only what we are doing, and that's another change, it will change and it will have an impact on even who we are. Just look how even the internet has changed to a certain extent our identities over the last 20 years. I'm very proud that the forum is also at the forefront of those new technologies, and we will showcase even here in the context of our presentation of the Ocean 20 initiative how you can use the metaverse in order to create much deeper and much more extensive and comprehensive global dialogues. My additional third point, the third difference which we see in the fourth industrial revolution is the fact that the winners take it all. Contrary to the previous industrial revolutions, it's very difficult to copy. So if you are first mover, you are the winners. And this will determine global competition on a national, but also on a business level to a large extent, and I hope in a not too hostile way in the coming years. Now just 2 last points. Public-private cooperation. Today, some people would say until 2 years ago, until the crisis hit, it was business who was in the lead. And now with the crisis, with COVID, it's government who is in the lead. No. It should be governments and business. Government and business have to cooperate in order to become a fast fish, because in our world of today, it's not anymore so much the big fish who eats the small fish, but it is the fast fish who eats the slow fish. And in order to be a fast fish and a big fish, hopefully, like Indonesia, you have to have two co-pilots, business and governments. My last point relates to trust. If business is really a force for good, which it has to be, business has to practice stakeholder capitalism. Such a concept I wrote a book about over 50 years ago, and I devoted my life to the promotion of stakeholder responsibility. Business should not only serve shareholders, but has to serve the people and to take care of our planet. Only in such a way business will earn the trust which it needs to be an innovative force to make our society a better society. Let me conclude. When we look into the future, we can be full of confidence if we adhere to three concepts: innovative transformation, innovation, and cooperation. Thank you.